Live from the I-10 corridor from the Fastport Studios in the city of New Orleans, it's Nemo Nation.
Hey, by the way, Brad, so you said that Spotify is the place to be. You took out your phone. I asked you to type in Education Station into Spotify, and of course, what came up? Education Station, a Radio Nemo podcast.
Yes,
all
indeed.
of those episodes, every single one, every week since the first week of June, is available on platforms everywhere, not just Spotify, but Pandora, any place else you get your podcast from.
Yeah, it's been really kind of life-changing, I think, for people that have been on the air in the last couple of months with you guys, how quickly you get things posted. YouTube is another great example. Got tons of feedback from people that have been interviewed, and like within a day being able to actually get that. And in years past, different platforms, that didn't happen. So kudos to you guys for being everywhere and being very quick about getting those things posted.
This is also really cool. Thank you very much. And this sets it up as well. I typed in Sergio Avedian, by the way. And, of course, the Rideshare Dojo came up. Rideshare Rodeo Productions came up. But also Radio Nemo guest interviews came up. Gig Economy Insider. Autonomous vehicles in the gig economy. We actually came up when you type in his name, and the reason is because he is like us. He is both now and forever. He is a ubiquitous character, especially in the rideshare area. He's joined us a number of times, and the last time, and Martin Garcia and Brad Bentley and Dave Nemo were all here for Nemo Nation. The last time he joined us, guys, he talked about the idea of what automated vehicles are doing to the rideshare space. But he did, in the midst of talking about some of the brilliance and the chilliness of what's going on, he did also make mention that there might be possibilities for the entrepreneurial spirit to still endure, even with the onset of automated vehicles. He joins us this morning. You can find him, by the way, at SergioAvedian.com and at therideshareguy.com. Sergio, welcome back as always. We're thrilled to have you. How you been? Do I got me a Sergio? Or is everybody dropping this morning?
Hello.
Sergio, you there?
Yep.
Oh,
Good morning. Welcome back, my friend. How you been?
Yeah, I'm here.
You been good?
Excellent. Thank you for having me again.
You got it. So let's kind of dig into this, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's dig into what you were talking about before.
Can you guys hear me?
He can't hear us, Dre. He cannot hear me. So we're going to get that figured out for him. And
while you're waiting for Sergio to get hooked up, Martin, you said something a little bit earlier, a little off topic, but when I went to NASTC, they were kind enough to have me picked up by a limousine service.
Wow.
Got picked up in a 2026 Cadillac Escalade. Never seen anything like it. Take the whole dashboard as a screen. The driver's it's broken up into thirds. When you're driving, the forward-facing camera is in view at all times. Then if you hit your blinker to change lanes, the middle part of the screen flashes up the rear view cameras. But the old-fashioned 1957 rear view mirror in the windshield?
Sure.
That is a camera now. And you cannot take your eyes off of it, especially if you're in the back seat. I don't know, man. It's unbelievable.
Martin Garcia was not picked up in a Cadillac Escalade this morning. It was a 2011 Volkswagen Jetta.
The guy told me how much it cost.
Wow.
I said, well, these. I told him I was in trucking. He asked and everything. I said, well, yeah, some of these trucks now, they're like $200,000. He says, this car was $150,000.
I believe it.
Let that sink in. By the way, we actually have him back. Seasoned entrepreneur, an independent consultant who specializes in the gig economy. He's got a deep expertise across platforms like Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Grubhub, and Instacart. Sergio is back, and for the past 6 years, he served as a senior contributor to the Rideshare Guy. We are thrilled to have him back here. He's been on CNBC, Bloomberg, The Wall Street Journal. I could go on. I should go on. But Sergio, let's try this again. Can you hear me now?
All right. Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you fine, brother. We can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Absolutely.
I can hear you both.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about this. The last time we all spoke, we were talking about the invasive quality of automated vehicles into the rideshare area and the threat that it posed. But we kind of wanted to flip the script and ask you if, as an entrepreneur and as people who are in the space already, are there ways of small business owners and small entrepreneurs to still be able to make a living in the rideshare space? And what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do deal with rideshare drivers, obviously, and they're very concerned about getting replaced by robots, as we call it, right? Autonomous vehicles. And there is no shortage of them. Waymo is the leading candidate at the moment. They're testing in many cities, but besides testing, they're operational commercially in San Francisco, Phoenix, Los Angeles, all the way to Austin, to Atlanta now, and then they just launched in Denver and Seattle. So there was one thing that caught my eye in all this is that Waymos usually do not operate in inclement weather cities or states. While Denver, it snows. Seattle, it rains 300 days a year. So we'll see how they're going to do, but they're expanding, their operations. So what I thought about this is that when I do talk to my community by thousands of drivers, they're very concerned that they're going to get replaced. In fact, I just wrote an article on our blog that even with limited scale and geofenced areas in all these cities, the drivers that I talk to are complaining about their earnings already declining, right? So I thought, okay, how do we put this together? Because my background is Wall Street. I was on Wall Street for about 28 years as a derivatives and equities trader. And I said, okay, how do we make money? How do we have skin in the game? And then, I started putting, pencil to pen, pen and to paper, and then I said, we need to create a business plan. We need to see if this is first possible. Well, sure enough, it is possible, and it's going to take a lot of work, but I think, as drivers, we're going to have some skin in the game.
Can you unpack what that looks like a little bit? I don't want to get you too much into anything proprietary, I know, but is there, like I said, can you kind of give us what the 30,000-foot view of that model looks like? Is it possible to talk about that?
Absolutely, yeah. There are things that we can talk about. None of what I'm saying is, is all public information, but, there are some things that we're working on that has to be kept quiet for the moment. First of all, this will all depend on the speed and the scope of the technology improving, right? Even we see, we see in the news and we see in clips in TikTok and other social media platforms sometimes how these Waymos are having trouble. Okay, I live in Los Angeles. I've been in about 10 of these so far. I can unequivocally say that they have improved. My first trip was about 6 months ago in Los Angeles, and then I just took one this weekend, and they're continuously improving their driving habits, let's say. The last one I was in even did a couple of semi-illegal maneuvers, like picking me up at a red curb, so before they wouldn't do that. So they are more and more driving like humans, obviously, but then they're adhering to all those traffic laws but they're aggressive. They're a lot more aggressive than people think they are as far as their driving habits are concerned. So as the business side of it is going to be very similar to something called REITs. If you heard about it, or you may even be invested in one, real estate investment trust, right? So we're going to call these MITs, Mobility Investment Trusts. The way it's going to start is, most of this is going to depend on what Elon Musk is doing with Tesla, because I believe Tesla is going to be the one that can actually upend Waymo. Now, at the moment, scalability is the issue. Waymo does not produce the cars. They buy the cars. Most of the Waymos that are out there in circulation at the moment are Jaguar I-Paces. And we know the dependability of Jaguars, but then what they do is they put them in a factory and they retrofit these cars with LiDAR and cameras and radars and all that equipment. So what that does is that puts the price per car through the roof. They're basically, $125,000 to $150,000, including the cost of the car. And then they're doing $10 trips. So obviously unit economics is not there. In order for me to be successful at this as an entrepreneur, I have to look at all the angles, but ultimately we're all trying to make some money, right? We're all, my goal is in this to create passive income for myself, my investors, and the driver community, because why not, earn some cash while you're sleeping? So it's going to operate as an MIT, which is Mobility Investment Trust, very, very similar to Real Estate Investment Trust. But in order to even get there, we need to understand, first of all, how do we start and operate an AV fleet? Okay, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in this. It's not as simple as me saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to go buy 1,000 cars from Tesla when they're out there. So at the moment, we have two competitors in this, but we have many other companies that are working on autonomous vehicles.
I'm going to turn this over. Oh, I'm sorry, Sergio. I'm going to turn this over for a second to our friend, President of Fastport, Brad Bentley, who has a question for you.
Okay.
Not so much a question, just a comment. I did a Waymo for the first time in San Francisco a few months ago. It was only a few blocks. Did it more for curiosity than anything, but was impressed with it. But it was limited, to your point. I've always thought about what's going to happen in inclement weather and so forth. As far as a funding mechanism, it's interesting you mentioned REITs. When I was at Truckload Carriers, we had actually invested in that, and that was one of the ways that we were able to pay off the building there at TCA. So I learned a lot about REITs during those couple of years up in D.C. So be interested to see if Tesla takes the lead or not.
Mostly they put apartment buildings or commercial commercial real estate into it, and then they'll kick out a dividend. Yep. So it's going to operate the same way. But before I even get there to the operation part or the finance part of it, we need to understand how to put a fleet together. Again, as I said, all of this is mostly going to depend on Elon Musk and Tesla. So Elon Musk had in fact, it was literally in my backyard. He had an announcement about a year ago about robocabs, right? And then there was a demonstration done. These things are 2-seaters, small. Now you're going to say, why 2-seaters? Because 96% of the trips on Uber and Lyft are 2 people or less. And they had the gull-wing doors. I'm sure if you do Google Tesla RoboCab, you'll see the picture of it or what it's kind of going to look like. And in this business, the important thing is obviously the cost structure. So where are we with this? Because there is no way I will go spend $50,000-$60,000 on an OEM car such as Honda Ioniq, or obviously they're going to be electric. So spend the money on that, retrofit it, put the LiDARs and lasers and radars and cameras on it, and then put it out there to do trips. As we know, vehicles depreciate, folks, and these things are going to drive. They're going to drive 22, 23, 20, minimum of 20 hours a day between charging and cleaning. So, as I said, there are many moving parts, but going back to it, first you have to have a framework of how to even start a business like this, okay, and how to operate an AV fleet. Well, most of the time, what I'm thinking of doing is I do have relationships, obviously, with Uber and Lyft. They're the 2 largest rideshare companies in the country. Well, obviously, Uber being globally, and Lyft is also expanding globally now. Well, they do have an existing network already. Network meaning they have created this amazing marketplace. They have created this demand. And, once the fleet is done, obviously you're going to go partner up either with Uber, Lyft, or if Tesla at that time do have their own network, then, yeah, you can operate it on the Tesla network. But who has the customers already? Well, Uber and Lyft do. So we're not at that point, but first, whose network am I going to hook up this fleet on? But before we even do any of this, what we need to understand is, where do I get the vehicles? Which vehicle is it going to be? Which system do I trust? Obviously, safety is a major issue with these things. Safety is a major issue with humans driving, obviously. And then so my choice is going to be Tesla RoboCabs. 1, cost structure. 2, dollars per mile cost, obviously, is going to be very important because that's your bread and butter. You got to know what your costs are. According to Elon, as we know, Elon does promise a lot, and then delivers late, or sometimes doesn't even deliver. But then, although he's a genius, let's say, but his track record is not great. But if anything comes close to what he mentioned during that announcement about a year ago, my vehicle choice is going to be the Tesla RoboCab. He said these vehicles are going to be about $25,000 to $30,000 a pop. Now, at that time, at that number, the cost structure and the unit economics makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, and so I'm like, okay, that's my vehicle choice. The other thing is Tesla but it is at the moment the only vertically integrated company. So Waymo cannot scale as fast as they would like to because they have to go to a Toyota or a Hyundai or a Jaguar, buy the car, retrofit it, then put it on the road. The other thing is the operating systems in both companies between Tesla and Waymo are completely different. One depends on the LiDAR system, and the other one is just on a camera and AI system. I haven't been one in Tesla. Tesla is testing in San Francisco, actually. I'm going to be in San Francisco about a month from now. So I have a presentation with Lyft because I do really would like, my goal is to have drivers have skin in the game and then invest in something like this. Invest in something that potentially is going to take their livelihood away. Invest in something that, they can have passive income on. But so the vehicle choice is going to be Tesla. Then once I choose my AV technology partner, right? So let's say, you buy the cars. The second level is going to be obtaining regulatory approval. Obviously, the regulators are not going to let these things go out in the streets by the thousands. Okay, well, first of all, it's going to also create traffic issues potentially. Because, where do you park them? What do they do when they're not busy? What do they do when there's no passenger in the car? So the regulatory approvals is going to be important. How do we deal with this? And then there are state regulatory bodies, such as, in California we have the DMV, the CPUC, and then in Arizona we have the DOT, obviously, in Texas the DPS. So, and then we have to meet federal standards. Because I just don't want to do this in California. Maybe I want to do it in 3-4 different cities at the same time. So, and obviously the federal regulators are NHTSA, National Highway Transportation Safety, and so those have to be done. Obviously, there's a lot of legal framework that needs to go with all this. Then the easy part starts, which is the acquiring and configuring the fleet. So the purchase or lease of the compatible AV vehicle, which is going to be, our choice is going to be the Tesla RoboCab, just because of the cost structure, and obviously because of the servicing needs if it comes to that, and then retrofitting all these cars. Well, in the Tesla's case, since they use camera systems and these things are going to come out of the factory ready to go, we don't have to worry about that part and increasing the cost of the vehicle. Then obviously we're going to have to figure out build and a fleet operations center. Now, once I hook them up to Uber or Lyft network, or if Tesla has one at that time, because creating the Uber app, something similar to an Uber app or a Lyft app, is pretty simple. But then operating it is going to take some work. Now, I'm going to personally, at this point, I have kind of thought about this. Do I want to even create an operations center, or do I put that out as a third-party, outsource it? I think that's going to be also a pretty big business. Where do these things get cleaned up? Where do they get parked? Where do they, when they're idle, where do they get cleaned? Where do they get fixed? And I think outsourcing is going to be the best way to go at this, as opposed to start from scratch. Then comes obviously the integration with Uber or Lyft network. So we need to connect it to an AV fleet, via Uber's fleet API, because Uber is actually dealing with a lot of companies. And I see the future of this as Uber being the number one in rideshare at the moment in the country and globally, obviously. They do 1.2 million trips per hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so they're the largest. So obviously, you go with the largest one because they're going to keep your cars busy. In this game, utilization rates are going to be very, very important, obviously. Then you have to hire some operational staff, obviously servicing, as far as customer service calls and things like that. One of the most important aspects of this is going to be, which I don't know yet, if Tesla is going to, my choice of vehicle is going to be the Tesla RoboCab. So obviously the regulators are not going to let you have these things out there without proper insurance. Obviously there has to be commercial insurance done. There has to be licensing done. Is Tesla going to offer that? I am not sure yet. We're not there yet. But, we're just basically putting the skeleton of the plan together at the moment. As I said, the plan for maintenance and charging is going to, there are many third-party companies now. As we know, by the way, there's a lot of empty parking lots and things like that I know of in LA. I think those are going to be all turned into operation centers and maintenance and charging stations for these AV fleets. I think this is the future of transportation. Either you just kind of look at the end of the tunnel, see the light as a driver, or as a businessman, and I think this is the future. And I believe in major cities, metropolitan areas with over, let's say 1 million plus, or at least 500,000 plus residents. I think the AVs are going to replace drivers. And
Sergio? I'm going to put the brakes on you for 1 second because, man, you have just lit us up like a Christmas tree, and everybody here actually has questions for you. I'm going to start with Brad, by the way. Go ahead, Brad.
I'm curious from a global perspective. One of the things I've seen is, let's say you're in Denmark. You've got Dan Taxi, for example, that's partnering with the local taxi people. Get in England does the same thing. Free Now. Bolt, there's so many others that do that. Would that be part of the business plan, is to try to partner with those companies who are combining rideshare with traditional taxi companies?
They are actually. Lyft just bought Free Now about 2 months ago for $200 million. So they are. There seems like there is a lot of consolidation going on in that space as well. My concept in all this, my goal in all this is just to create some passive income for myself and the driver community. And that's why I'm going up to San Francisco, by the way. Lyft is very interested in the concept, like how they're more human about this than any other company that I've spoken to. Uber, I don't think they care. And to me, it's like,
they're being Uber. So Uber is basically being Uber is what you're telling me.
Yeah, you guys know about Uber. There you go. Look, Uber is the most important thing for Uber is the share price. Look, I'm not blaming them. They have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, and they got to do what they got to do. But then there's a human cost in this. There's a human side in this. And in the U.S., there's about 5 million rideshare drivers. I'm not saying gig workers. I'm not talking delivery now. Just rideshare. That's a lot of folks who are going to get hurt. And most of these people feel like they're stuck in a box. They don't have an out. They feel like they're on a hamster wheel. They're just basically using their cars like an ATM machine to pay a few bills. And when that goes away, what are these people going to do? Look, it's very easy for tech bros, by the way, to just get out there and say, oh, yeah, look what happened when steam engine replaced the horse and buggy. No, this is much, much, much larger than that. You guys have a trucking radio station. I have concerns about that. There's going to be autonomous trucks coming around pretty soon. So what are these people going to do? How do we retrain all these people? And then already college students, newly graduates are figuring out that AI is replacing them. I think this country is going to go, or the globe actually, is going to go through this transition, I want to call it, and hopefully things come out okay on the other side. But then business doesn't sleep, right? You need to do what you need to do. You need to see what's coming at you and maybe the light at the end of the tunnel is not the exit, it's the train coming at you, and then you need to figure out what to do.
Yeah, the lights of the advancing semi. Sergio, I told Dave, and he agreed with me. I said, after we had you on for 10 minutes, I said, we can get him on for 30 minutes, and it ain't going to be enough time. We are out of it. Thank you, by the way, for contributing, as you always do so brilliantly. Senior Vice President of Prudential Securities for over 25 years, where he was an equities and derivatives traders. He has been both a driver and a consumer on multiple gig platforms. He offers a very unique top-down perspective, and if you can tell, he cares deeply about the men and women who drive across this country to make a living at it. SergioAvedian.com, therideshareguy.com. As always, we hope we get you back sooner rather than later. Thank you, Sergio.
I would love to come back. Yeah, I think we cut this short due to technical issues. But I have the plans. I'm going to make it happen. I don't quit that easily. I'm not going to just bend over to the tech bros because they just want to do something. But at the same time, how do we benefit all these folks who may be out of a job soon?
Thank you very much. And Sergio,